Hey guys, welcome to another pickups video. This one's a little bit different than a lot of mine because I've got something really rare, really unusual to show you at the end of this video. So stick around, or if you need to, skip to the end of the video because this is something you probably have never seen or haven't seen in a very long time. First thing I want to show you here, picked up recently, actually in a trade, traded some games into my local game store, Final Boss Games. Picked up Ghostbusters, the video game, the remastered version on the Switch. I've been looking forward to this because I'm a huge Ghostbusters fan and I've always wanted to play the game, and it was on Wii and PS3 and stuff like that, and I never got around to playing it. So thankfully, there's remastered version on Switch, which is currently my favorite platform to play on. That's what I play on all the time, so I'm really looking forward to diving into this. They say this is really the unofficial Ghostbusters 3 because of the appearances of a lot of the major actors like Dan Aykroyd are actually voice acting in this, and it's got a standalone story. So a lot of people really consider this to be the Ghostbusters 3 that we never got, and I'm really looking forward to getting into this here in the next few days. So next thing, I was out thrifting. I was at Value Village, and I always find something every time I go. And you guys know I really like my strategy guides, and particularly my collector's edition strategy guides, the nice hardcovers, you know, really nice presentations and stuff. And I found it cost me about $7, the Uncharted 3 hardcover collector's edition for Drake's Deception. And what's really cool about this, besides the fact that it's absolutely full, besides the fact that it's absolutely full of fantastic artwork, just beautiful book, but it came with a bunch of extra stuff, which I think came out of an actual collector's edition or something. So here I've got a 8.5 by 11 ad or poster for Uncharted Golden Abyss on the PS Vita. There's a download code here for some DLC for Uncharted 3. There's a coupon here for Twisted Metal on the PS3. Something really cool is the actual receipt here for this book, which cost the guy $22.43 Canadian dollars from EB Games GameStop. And so that's a really interesting piece of history to have with it. And then I also got the soundtrack, and I do not believe this was included with the strategy guide, even being a collector's edition strategy guide. I'm going to have to do a little research, but I'm thinking this came out of a collector's edition of the game, and the guy that owned this previously just shoved all this bits and pieces into the book and threw out the box maybe. So quite a nice little find for $7 here. I already have Uncharted 3, both the regular and I believe the greatest hits version. So this starts to complete my collection, really. I would love to have the big collector's edition, but having all these bits and pieces is a really cool piece of history, and I absolutely love my PS3 and I absolutely love the Uncharted series. So I'm super happy to add this to my collection. Okay, moving on here. I'm going to have to open some boxes, so bear with me. This is really well packaged. This came from Retropop Auctions in Quebec from my friend Stacy, and thanks so much, Stacy. Okay, moving along here. First thing I actually got my newest issue of Old School Gamer magazine in the mail today. That was a nice surprise. I always love it when this shows up in the mail. And this is quite the hefty issue. This is one of the thickest issues so far. There's some pretty interesting stuff in here. Toe Jam and Earl by the looks of it. Some Wario's Woods, Donkey Kong. Some pretty interesting stuff. These magazines, if you're not familiar with them, are available via subscription in Patreon, and you pay like $5 a month or something, and you can actually have a physical gaming magazine sent to your house every month or so. I don't know exactly if they do it every month or every 6 weeks or something like that, but really great little magazine, retro gaming specific, kind of indie produced. It really fills a void because you just don't get gaming magazines anymore. They've pretty much gone the way of the dodo, so I'm really enjoying my subscription to these guys. Cool thing about this magazine is every single month they provide a poster of the cover art, and I've got quite a few of these posters now, but that's just a nice little bonus that you don't get a lot of times with even the older gaming magazines, and certainly nothing that you're going to get for gaming today. From the Retropop auction here, I got several smaller games picked up for, I believe, $1. That is Buzz, the Hollywood trivia game on PS2. Kind of interested in this. It's got both the English and French manuals. The disc is in perfect condition. I'll probably play this with my kids and totally embarrass them, or embarrass myself, I don't know. Another one of these zoo kind of minigame collections that I've been picking up lately. I kind of like these zoo games, and that's Redneck Jamboree. Haven't played this yet, but I'm definitely going to slide this in the Wii tonight and give it a check out, because these zoo games for shovelware, like they're definitely shovelware, but they are actually a lot of fun. They're some of the better designed mini games and kind of shooting games, Wii motion type games on the Wii, and I'm really enjoying collecting these. Another game now for my original Xbox collection, and I believe I also picked this up for $1, or maybe it was $2 in the Retropop auction, and that's Kingdom Under Fire for the original Xbox. This game does not have the manual, but let's see what the disc looks like. Not too bad, a couple of light abrasions, but I think it's definitely going to play. Can't complain for $1 or $2. I do wish it had the manual. I'll be checking this game out at some point. I do like these kind of medieval style sword and sorcery sort of games, so definitely be checking it out. And then another Wii game here from my collection, and that is Tenchu's Shadow Assassins. I picked this up, I believe, for it was either $2 or $3, and this one does have the manual, and the disc is in great shape. So pretty excited to add that to my collection. My Wii collection is growing in leaps and bounds. I've really stopped for the most part, unless it's stuff like this where I'm coming across it for a couple of dollars. I've pretty much stopped buying for everything else except for the Wii, the 3DS and 3DS, and my Switch. I've really been focusing on those, trying to build those up. Not that I'm never going to buy PS2 or PS3 games again, but those collections have pretty much got to the place where I have all the games that I would want from those libraries that I can afford. There are certainly some expensive games on those libraries that I would love to own, but I'm waiting to find a deal on them. So here we go, guys. This is the big moment that we've been waiting for. This is the uber rare game, and there's a little bit of a story about this. In 1983, following the success of the ColecoVision, the Coleco company put out a home computer called the Coleco Atom. It was fully compatible with the ColecoVision library, but it also had some unique cassette tape drives, and they had a library of about 40 games exclusive to the Coleco Atom on cassette tapes, which were pretty rare. There was one game that was a pack-in game for the Coleco Atom on cassette tape, and that was a Buck Rogers game. Now the Coleco Atom was my first home computer when I was about maybe 9 or 10 years old. It was already several years old. It was a hand-me-down computer. The Coleco Atom came out in 1983, and it had pretty much failed by 1985. I believe they only sold about 350,000 of the units, and over 80% of those units were returned as defective over the lifespan of the computers. So that's part of the reason why it failed, because they had such a huge failure rate. They would overheat, and they actually released an electromagnetic surge when they booted up, and they would actually wipe clean some of the software and things like that that were in the immediate area of the computer. So it was an absolute disaster. But it was a great computer, which was, technically speaking, more powerful and more advanced than the Commodore 64. And had they fixed those technical issues, it may have gone on to be one of the most successful computers of that era. But anyways, here is one of my very first video games on a computer. I did have an Atari 2600, but this was one of the first games after that I owned. And this is the pack-in game for the Coleco Adam, which is Buck Rogers in the 25th Century. This is on a cassette tape. Just like you would listen to in your car back in the 80s. This is on a cassette tape, but it's a data stream instead of an audio stream. This game was a pack-in, so presumably there were about 350,000 of these games made. However, with almost all of the Coleco Adams being defective and thrown out, you could only play this game on that computer, so most of these got thrown out too. This is not the rarest game that I have here to show you, but this is still pretty rare because there would not have been more than 350,000 of these made, and there certainly are no more than a handful, a couple thousand of these still floating around in existence. So I'm super happy to add this. It's a very nostalgic game for me. I will be showing you some gameplay footage here. Obviously, I'll have to pull this footage off the net because I do not have a Coleco Adam, and there's probably not more than 20 or 30,000 Coleco Adams still working in existence in the world today. So the chances of me being able to get my hands on one that actually works is pretty slim. I bought this for nostalgia reasons, and it didn't cost me very much. I think I picked it up for about $15. I did pay a little bit more for my next game here, though, which is quite a bit more rare. Now, this was a popular title, but because it was not a pack-in game, it didn't sell anywhere near as many as the Buck Rogers game, so this one is quite a bit more rare and quite a bit more expensive, and that is the original Dragon's Lair for the Coleco Adam. Again, this is on a cassette tape, Adam high-speed digital data pack. Really interesting piece of history to add to my collection. I never played this game back in the day, but I have Dragon's Lair on multiple different platforms now, so I'm not too worried about playing this. I will try to find some gameplay footage off the internet to show you here in this video, just to get a sense of what it looks like on the Adam. Yeah, super happy to add these to my collection. This game, particularly the Buck Rogers game, is a holy grail for me because it's one of the first video games I ever owned, one of the first video games on a computer that I ever played, and sadly I no longer have my original copy because, like most other people, I threw my Coleco Adam in the garbage when it broke. Anyways, guys, thanks for stopping by. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and subscribe because I've got all kinds of different content. It's a virtual Comic-Con around here, guys. We talk about games, movies, TV shows, comic books, audio books, toys, figures, you name it. We talk about it all here. Virtual Comic-Con, so subscribe. Hit that like button so that I know that you like my content, and absolutely hit that notification bell so that you'll never miss another video. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Stay classy.